Alright, what is good, YouTube? It's your boy 50K Clay. I am Clay Will, and we are back again with yet another video, man. And before we get into the topic at hand, man, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe on this video. We getting close to 1,000 subscribers, and we almost there. So if y'all could help me get there, I would really appreciate it, man. So let's get into the topic at hand. The numbers are saying that hip-hop is down. And this comes from a report from Hip Hop Daily stating that basically it's only 4 hip-hop songs that are charting on the Spotify charts right now, as opposed to it being like 56. And it's saying on this exact day 5 years ago there were 56 songs that were charting on Spotify's charts. And man, I feel like this is really indicative of not only hip-hop but the music industry as a whole. We're seeing numbers are being down all across the board, but this is particularly alarming for hip-hop. Let's get into hip-hop. Let's talk hip-hop for real and why this is occurring. Now, viewer, can you name me 5 artists in the last 5 years that have truly become mainstream in hip-hop, that are just unignorable, that are a face and are making headways so loud and so large that they can't be ignored? I can't. I really can't. I mean, we got Yeet. Who else do we got? I'm lacking on artists that are just generally well renowned across the board. Now, years past, we had artists like Kendrick, Drake, J. Cole, the Big Three, of course, Future, Travis Scott, all these artists in years past, but I feel like now that kind of well is dried up. And I feel like that comes from a place of, for one, easy to get into. It doesn't require a skill. You don't have to be able to dance. You don't even really have to be able to rap. Are you popular, and do you have some kind of gimmick that people can latch on to? If that's not the case, were you well renowned for something else, and did you transition into being a hip-hop artist? We see this all the time, like with artists like Lil Baby and Huncho. They were infamous in their cities, and then they just decided to rap. A lot of the case, I feel like the art of hip-hop and the appreciation truly for the genre is lacking amongst artists. So when that appreciation for the genre is lacking, and combine that with the fact that everybody feels like they can do it, of course, all across the board, numbers is gonna go down. And it's gonna lead to a genre looking like it's being oversaturated. In hip hop nowadays, you don't have to be able to tell a story. You don't have to be able to craft a complex metaphor. You don't have to have bars. You just have to make some baseline requirements, like, are you attractive? Can you you have a good personality? Are you engaged in social media? Are you involved in some antics? And with that, then maybe you can get a little head of steam for yourself going. But it's not like the old days where it was certain requirements that were necessary for an artist to get on. And I mentioned this before in one of my previous videos, why the NBA and hip hop are not producing any stars anymore. So I feel like another reason for that is, I don't know if you guys saw, but in that video or in one of my other videos, I linked a post to where Ebro Darden, he had came out and says big labels are not prioritizing hip hop anymore. Their focus is on other genres, specifically like dance hall, and like Afro beats and stuff like that. So the labels have took the funding away and out of hip hop to put into other labels. Now we see a lot of these other genres are doing pretty well on the charts. We see country is going crazy right now. Rock isn't experienced that big of a boom, but even genres like pop and K-pop are still doing pretty well charts wise. But as a whole, on the whole, we're seeing a lot of hip-hop albums suffering. I feel like another big reason for that is because I feel like hip-hop is like fast food music. You might go through, spin an album one time, download the songs you like, and discard totally the rest. And I feel like that also has to do with artists dropping 20+ song albums. Now, you knowing damn well you do not have enough subject matter to talk about across 20 songs. Now the album is starting to not sound cohesive, is disjointed, is no coherent theme across the whole body of work. And now albums are just sounding messy and unfocused because artists want to get to that minimum streaming requirement so that they can profit off their songs. You got to remember with streaming coming in, they're taking money out of artists' pockets. They're profiting mostly from these artist songs, and the labels are, while the artists themselves are getting pennies on the dollar. They're only making a few cents off their song, while the label and the streaming platform are eating the money that's made off of these songs. And nowadays we don't have people buying physical albums or physical copies of albums anymore. They're just gonna consume it through Spotify, through Apple Music, through Tidal, what have you, through Spotify, through YouTube Music. So people will download songs, come in, get the songs that they like off this 20+ song project, and completely discard and throw away the rest. And when that happens, you can tell like it's a lack of appreciation for the genre on the part of both the consumer and also the creator. Because the creator realizes, man, y'all only gonna vibe to a couple of these songs anyway. I'm gonna just drop a whole lot of songs and people are just gonna decipher what they want to hear and throw away what they don't. And and that's not a good thing for albums as a whole. I know like you got to think about albums like Good Kid, Mad City, where it's imperative that you listen to the whole album as a whole, as a body of work, so you can really appreciate the story that he's telling and the message that he's trying to convey. Think about all of these hip-hop classics that are short and sweet, but they have a point to them. It's a rarefied air for us to get a classic. You got to think, even the clips are like a throwback kind of hip-hop group. They're a traditional hip-hop group, and their album did extremely well. They were able to make some merchandise from it, and they're going on a really successful tour run right now. But they played to the rules of old hip-hop, where they had one singular executive producer. They had a unified vision, and they were able to convey that vision across like 15, 16 tracks. So, with artists nowadays, I don't feel like they're doing that. They're trying to increase the amount of songs on the project so that they can receive the maximum amount of dollars from the album. So it takes the incentive from trying to really make a good body of work to just trying to release music, maybe to fulfill a contractual obligation, or trying to release music to not really put your best foot forward and not really further the art form, but becomes, how can I maximize my profit from my work? And I feel like it's a place for both. We can still do both, but I feel like artists just need to. I feel like it starts with the labels. The labels aren't incentivizing creating really creative music, and that they're not incentivizing discovering the best new artists, the most talented artists. They're gonna go where the wave is. They see somebody that's blowing on TikTok, they're gonna immediately knock down their door so they can get a piece of pie from their success. But nowadays, artists are wising up, and we have technology and opportunities, and we can make these opportunities like artists from years past never did. Back then, you had to go through the major label machine, but nowadays it's up to artists. They can be independent. They can release music on their own. They don't need to rely on a label. So hopefully it becomes more of that. But ultimately, what I'm seeing, man, hip hop needs to go on a spectacular run. As somebody who loves and really appreciates the genre, I miss the days when we were on top of the charts and constantly new artists breaking. But one thing about it, these artists need to learn how to become sustainable over an extended period of time and not just a flash in the pan type of moment. Also, I feel like it's can be attributed to kind of the type of content that's perpetuated in hip hop. When we look at it, who's the most popular artist, they're kind of like gratuitous in terms of sex or violence. And for a while, the drill movement was popular. Now, you on your way to work, you taking your kids to school, you want to turn on a hip hop station because, that's just what you're accustomed to. what's on the radio? What are they talking about on the radio? Let's be honest. They talking about WAP, talking about Sexy Red and this, that, and the third. And on the males' part, they talking about drilling and killing and violence and all these types of things, and doesn't make the genre really appealing anymore. Two things can be true at once. On one hand, we can make the type of content that's free for the artists to express themselves in the way they see fit, but also we need to make it consumable again, if that makes sense. Listen, man, I know he was going through a rough time. I know a lot of people shitted on him, but right now, man, it's looking like we need to call the Iceman.
Drake is the greatest rapper ever.
We need to shine the symbol in the light for the owl. We need the Iceman back. We need Drake back. We need for Drake to get back in form. Now, he's released a couple of singles, and I'm kind of iffy on the singles. I'm not really feeling them all the way, to be honest. But we know Drake. We know Drake has an immense talent. We know he's capable of doing a lot for. We know he's capable for doing a lot for the genre. So I feel like he needs to step back into that bag again where he's focused, and I see him trying to do a little rollout and stuff like that. He's, I guess, driving through different cities. He's doing things with Pinocchio and what have you. Ultimately, that's all fine and dandy. I see him having an attempt to doing a rollout. But what's more important than just these cool live streams and they have some cool moments or entertaining moments, I guess? We need to get back to prioritizing the music, man. Ultimately, you are the music guy. You the Iceman. I want to see Drake back in a return to form, man. I want to see him being back on his rapping flow, being back on his confident flow, and not so much this everybody betrayed me and this, that, and the third. So I have a lot of expectations for this Iceman album. Hopefully, he really took his time and put his best foot forward on this album.